Ritchie Bros Auctioneers. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia at n.wikipedia.org. Ritchie Bros Auctioneers, RBA, or simply Ritchie Bros, is an industrial auctioneer, selling heavy industrial equipment and trucks through live and online auctions. The company is headquartered in Burnaby, a suburb of Metro Vancouver, and has operations in 12 countries and 40 auction sites worldwide. The company sells through unreserved public auctions, weekly featured auctions at Iron Planet, and various other online marketplaces, a broad range of used and unused industrial assets, including equipment, trucks and other assets utilized in the construction, transportation, agricultural, material handling, mining, forestry, petroleum, and marine industries. Ritchie Bros is a public company. Its common shares are traded on the New York and Toronto stock exchanges under the ticker symbol RBA. The Ritchie Bros. Ritchie Bros Auctioneers was established in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. The three Ritchie brothers, Ken, John and Dave Ritchie, took over the used furniture store from their father in 1955. They entered the auction business in 1958 when they needed $2,000 Canadian to pay a bank debt on short notice. A friend suggested they conduct an auction to get rid of some surplus inventory from the furniture store. They conducted their first auction at the Scout Hall in Kelowna in 1958 and discovered a new way of doing business. Starting with that first auction at the Scout Hall, Ritchie Bros maintained a strict policy of conducting unreserved auctions, meaning there were no minimum bids and no reserve prices. The brothers also established a policy of not allowing bid-ins or buybacks by the sellers. The brothers began conducting auctions more regularly and in 1958 incorporated Ritchie Bros Auction Galleries Limited to formalize their new business. Ritchie Bros began selling used equipment in the 1960s. In 1963, Dave Ritchie moved to Vancouver, BC and rented an auction site on Southeast Marine Drive. He set up the company's first equipment auction in Vancouver shortly after. The Ritchie Bros conducted their first major unreserved industrial auction in Radium Hot Springs, British Columbia on June 7, 1963. They sold $663,000 Canadian of equipment in one day, by far the largest auction in the company's history. The success of the Radium Hot Springs auction convinced the brothers that they could make more money auctioning used equipment than selling furniture. So they sold their furniture store in Kelowna and went into the auction business full-time. Ritchie Bros Auctioneers established one of the trademarks of its auctions at the Radium Hot Springs auction. It was raining on the day of the auction. Instead of making the bidders walk around in the rain during the auction, they set up the auction under the eaves of a nearby shop and drove the equipment in to be sold piece by piece. The crowd stayed dry and the ramp and stage method became a fixture at Ritchie Bros auctions thereafter. 50 years of unreserved industrial auctions. On June 7, 2013, Ritchie Bros celebrated 50 years since the company's first major unreserved industrial auction in Radium Hot Springs, British Columbia. It was at this Radium Hot Springs auction that Ritchie Bros adopted the ramp and stage approach for selling all mobile equipment. This approach involves a staging area designed as a ramp located in front of a viewing theater, where bidders sit waiting for mobile equipment to come to center stage. Each piece of equipment is numbered and, once it comes to rest in the center of the ramp, the auctioneer begins asking for bids. The crowd of bidders signals their bid increments to moving bid catchers, who in turn signal the auctioneer when a bid is made. The auctioneer increases the call price until there are no more bids being placed. At a Ritchie Bros auction, bids are called until no more are forthcoming in approximately 1 minute, when the auctioneer calls that the item has been sold to the highest bidder. The company has pioneered the ramp and stage method and unreserved industrial auctions around the world ever since the auction at Radium Hot Springs on June 7, 1963. The early auction years. Most of the company's earliest auctions were held in British Columbia. Ritchie Bros began expanding into other parts of Canada in the mid-1960s, conducting its first auctions in Alberta in 1964, the Yukon 1964, Saskatchewan 1965, Manitoba 1968, and other parts of eastern Canada shortly thereafter. In 1965, Ken Ritchie left the company to spend more time with his family and the company's name was changed from Ritchie Bros Auction Galleries Limited to Ritchie Bros Auctioneers Limited. Ken established his own auction company but returned to work with his brothers in 1968. He stayed with Ritchie Bros Auctioneers until 1980. In 1968, Ritchie Bros Auctioneers held its first auction with gross proceeds more than $1 million in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Edmonton was also the site of the company's first permanent auction site on company-owned land, which was established in 1976. Until then, Ritchie Bros had been conducting its auctions on leased land. Expansion in the U.S. Ritchie Bros established its first presence outside Canada in 1969 when it became incorporated in Washington, USA. The company held its first auction outside Canada in 1970 in Beaverton, Oregon. It gradually began expanding throughout the United States. In 1974, John Ritchie left the company, selling his share of the business to his brother Dave. In 1975, Dave Ritchie, the sole company shareholder, decided to sell partnerships in Ritchie Bros Auctioneers to some of his key employees. Big Barb, C. Russell, Russ, Kamalik, Ken Ritchie, and Bill Gronberg. Over the coming years, the partnership expanded to include Bob Carswell, Marvin Schindler, Ed Bonser, Roger Rummel, Bob Brawley, Ken Asbury, John Wilde, Marty Pope, Mark Clark, Don Chalmers, Sylvain Deschamps, Frank McFadden, and Mike Ritchie. When Ritchie Bros went public in 1998, Ken Ritchie and Bill Gronberg no longer owned shares of the company. By 1985, Ritchie Bros Auctioneers had sold more than $1 billion of equipment to unreserved auctions. It took only 3 more years for the company to gross another $1 billion in sales. International expansion. In the late 1980s, Ritchie Bros Auctioneers began to look overseas for further growth opportunities. The company conducted its first auctions outside North America in 1987, in Liverpool, the UK, and Rotterdam, the Netherlands. The equipment sold at the Liverpool auction had been used to rebuild the Falkland Islands following the war there. Further international expansion followed with the company's first auctions in Australia, 1990, Mexico, 1995, the Middle East, 1997, Africa, 2003, China, 2013, and Finland, 2013. In 1991, the company achieved another milestone when it conducted its 1,000th unreserved auction. It conducted its 2,000th auction in the year 2000. The role of technology. In 1989, Ritchie Bros became the first industrial auction company to enable remote bidding via video when it broadcast its Edmonton auction live at the Agricultural Trade Show in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Video simulcasts were held at trade shows in 1993 and 1995, followed in 1997 by a 3-way video conference auction that linked separate auction sites in St. Paul, Minnesota, Kansas City, Missouri, and Clinton, Wisconsin. Equipment was located at all 3 sites, and interested buyers could bid at any of the sites, which were linked via video. The company launched its website, auction.com, at the Conexpo trade show in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA in 1996. The site featured a searchable database that enabled customers to see all the equipment being sold in upcoming Ritchie Bros auctions. In March 1999, Ritchie Bros broadcast an auction over the internet for the first time. In March 2002, Ritchie Bros introduced its real-time internet bidding service, the Auction Bid Live. On September 22, 2008, Ritchie Bros launched a comprehensive online resource tool for the construction, mining, transportation, agricultural and forestry industries at Conexpo International in Las Vegas. The tool is called Ritchie Wiki and is associated with an equipment specification engine called Ritchie Specs. Going public. In 1998, the year that Ritchie Bros went public, the company's annual gross auction proceeds exceeded $1 billion for the first time ever. Its common shares were listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol in March 1998, followed by listing on the Toronto Stock Exchange in April 2004. Since then, Ritchie Bros has added auction sites in 8 other countries. Today, the company has 44 auction sites in 13 countries worldwide. Notable auctions. Among the notable auctions conducted by Ritchie Bros Auctioneers, construction and other equipment used to rebuild the airport, shipyard and other facilities after the Falkland Islands War, 1987. Almost 9,800 items and pieces of equipment used in the $1 billion cleanup operation following the Exxon Valdez oil spill in Alaska, 1990, and the equipment used to build the Confederation Bridge that links the province of Prince Edward Island with the Canadian mainland, 1997. Ritchie Bros also conducted the world's largest industrial equipment auction in Orlando, Florida in February 2018. The company sold more than $278 million worth of equipment and trucks over 6 days, February 19th, 2018. The auction featured more than 12,500 heavy equipment items and trucks, and attracted more than 13,350 bidders from 90 countries. 50th anniversary. Ritchie Bros celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2008. As a gift to the heavy equipment industries, it launched Ritchie Wiki in September 2008 at Minexpo International in Las Vegas, Nevada. In 2008, Ritchie Bros. Auctioneers Incorporated conducted 340 unreserved industrial and agricultural auctions, generating gross auction proceeds of $3.58 billion. The company sold more than 253,000 lots from 37,000 consignments and processed 277,000 bidder registrations. Of those, 84,000 were successful buyers, with a total of 16,000 buyers purchasing their equipment online. In 2017, Ritchie Bros. Conducted more than 475 auctions, selling $4.50 billion of heavy equipment and trucks.